Do you remember 2015? That was the last time before this week that Memphis won a playoff series. Zach Randolph, Mike Conley. There it is. The big man, Marc Gasol. Grit and grind, Grizzlies battled Steph, Clay, and Draymond. That Warriors core, though, still together, played this new Grizzlies group in the play-in last year. Memphis won, and it felt like this group officially arrived. So what now? Round 2 of 2022, Grizzlies out to prove the second seed is no fluke. Here's Steve Kerr on facing this young rising Grizzlies and Steph Curry, who averaged 36 against the Grizzlies in 3 games this year.
Well, they're a really talented team. They've built a foundation over the last few years through player development, through really smart drafting, investment, and they're really well coached. So you throw all that together, and it means we've got to execute to beat them.
We've got a pretty good feel for them. You know, it's going to be, a chess match in the playoffs. Obviously, you got to get game 1 under your belt and figure it out from there. But just installed, now it's about just rest and recovery. Early start tomorrow, stick to our normal cadence of, how we prepare the day before and just get, mentally fresh, physically fresh, go out there and compete as best as possible and just take it one day at a time.
How quickly can each team move on from the game plan of, the last series? That's always an interesting kind of feel-out game. First game in general, but usually the first half where you're so used to the tendencies that you have team you just played, and Denver and Memphis are 2 totally different teams. So we have to be able to figure that out, and we're totally different than Minnesota. So it's which team can figure that out the fastest, get off to a good start.
Well, you heard Steph talking about it, and if there's an Achilles heel for this Warriors team that's been great for almost a decade, it's the fact that they turn the ball over a lot. Then you look at Memphis, they capitalize off that with Ja Morant running the floor. So who wins that battle in this series?
First of all, let's go back to the play-in game. Last year, where Memphis got Golden State when Steph was playing at a high clip and everybody we need to see Steph in the playoffs. But that didn't happen. So I think you got a little bit of motivation in that. And plus, they're playing really well. Poole's playing extraordinary. So I got Golden State winning this game. I know you want me to give me a prediction, but I wanted to go 7 because when you got 2 dynamic guards like Steph on one side and Ja on the other side, you want to see as many games as possible.
There's Aquaman, Steven Adams finding Ja Morant on the fast break. And like we showed in that graphic, Steph Curry averaged 36 against Memphis. But Jordan Poole emerged more in this first round, right? Klay Thompson is back. Let me say it, back, the way that we're used to seeing. How big of a factor is that with Jordan Poole, Steph, and Klay out there scoring the way that they are?
They can go small. We haven't even talked about the all-star Wiggins, but with the way Poole is playing, we've forgotten about him. So they got a capable backcourt playing 4 guys with Draymond at center because they can play inside out old school point forward or point center now with Draymond. So getting everybody involved. So this is going to be a great game, high energy, a lot of points scored.
What does Ja have to do in this series from Memphis to win it?
Be in attack mode because they have no shot blockers. So when you get that rebound, you're an excellent rebounder, you get it in the go. Who's going to stop you? I don't think anybody on that team other than Poole is fast enough to keep up with Ja. So he has to be in attack mode, going to the hole. And for me, you don't have to dunk everything. Get you some layups because you need to stay healthy because one time you go down, God takes the charge, you come out of there, you hurt yourself, your team is in trouble. So he needs to learn how to just lay it up, just finger roll, Iceman style.
One thing I can do is finger roll. So who wins this series?
I got Golden State winning this series. I'm going to say 6.
6 games.
6 games because the maturity that Golden State has. I think they're a better equipped team for the playoffs. They know in the playoffs you can't have turnovers. And we saw from the last series, Memphis would turn the ball over.
All right, a bit of great basketball news in a sense of greatness. C. Vivian Stringer retired today, 74 years old. She went to 4 Finals Fours, 50 years coaching, started in 1971. First black coach to win 1,000 Division I games.
Say 75 years young, because she still looks beautiful. And I used to watch her, the way she commanded the team was fantastic.
Speaking of great wishes, happy birthday to Zeke, our guy, one of the great guys of the game of all time. Remember, still the only player in NBA history, right, to win 2 championships without another top 75 player.
Greatest smile ever. My teammate for 2 days.
The bajillion-dollar smile. Thanks for watching Playoff Central Live, presented by State Farm. That's Robert Horry. I'm Chris Miles. Thanks for kicking it with us.
Happy birthday, Zeke.
Welcome to Playoff Central Live, presented by State Farm. I'm your host, Chris Miles, and that guy over there has more rings than you have fingers on your hand. 7 rings from Big Shot Bob. And great to have you on the show, and it's great to talk about these teams still on a championship quest. So we have 8 teams getting ready for the second round, but let's start with the MVP finalist in Joel Embiid, because we have an update on what's going on with him. Embiid out indefinitely with an orbital fracture and mild concussion. He suffered the injury with less than 4 minutes to go in Philly's closeout Game 6 win over the Raptors. There's no timetable for his return. It's not determined if he will need surgery or not yet. Remember, 4 years ago, Embiid had a left facial fracture, missed 3 weeks with that. Also has a thumb injury in his shooting hand. This year, Embiid played a career-high 68 games, and they struggled without him. You see their record below 500 without Embiid on the floor. And remember, Andre Drummond was on the floor. A lot of those games, they do not have him anymore. Here's Jimmy Butler showing some love to his former teammate.
I feel bad for my guy. Obviously, one of my former teammates, arguably the MVP of this league. And I think I speak for everybody that's a part of this team. Like, we want Joe to play.
It would be like if Jimmy was out, right? We would do different things, but Joel's so much more dominant than everybody. So if you miss a Joel, it clearly allows the other team to do different things defensively that they would never envision to do with Joel on the floor.
I'm not an analytics guy, obviously, but I was told that they're a much better team defensively whenever he's on the floor, as it should be. And I would guess offensively as well. It's going to be a challenge, but, they beat us once without him.
It may be harder for us than for James. You know what I mean? Like, I think James has no issues being more aggressive to score. James is such a facilitator with us because we have great shooting around him. We just got to make sure we have the right people around James when he's on the floor. I think that's vital.
So this is Joel Embiid 4 years ago. Remember, he did have surgery then, teaming up with Ben Simmons. This time around, they don't know if he needs surgery yet. So for Philly, if Embiid is out for a number of games, how do they combat losing their MVP finals?
Well, if you look at this team, it's set up good for James Harden to not shine, because you bring another superstar for occasions like this. We know Embiid has had issues with injuries, so now you got James Harden. Tobias Harris is saying he's an all-star. So now, Tobias, you had a moment to step up, because you're going to have the ball more in your hand. Now, if you need another big off the bench, good thing you got some veteran leadership over there with Millsap and DJ, so they can come off the bench and give you a little bit more size if you need it.
Now, you mentioned James Harden in round 1, scored 19 points a game, 10 assists a game. What he said about those Raptors, man, their defense, this is the hardest series with their length and athleticism on the wing. How did he adjust as the series went along to Game 6, where he started to look like himself again?
I think James' quickness, he can spread the floor out a little more. If you see the pick and rolls, they were starting to set a little bit higher. Like in this clip right here, look how high the pick and roll is.